Welcome, welcome, welcome. The Scene presents Views from the 22. I am your host, Jerem So True, alongside most Schefter, Vic Jr., and this is show number 7. We got the AFC South, down there. With that being said, hey man, make sure y'all check out the Scene YouTube page, subscribe, all that good stuff. But let's roll. Mo, we got the Jaguars first. Take off.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Duval. Shout out Duval. Lived in Duval for a few months. Don't plan on living there again. And their football team doesn't plan on being good anytime soon either. They lost a lot of players. They haven't really gained many new ones that are significant. And they also don't really have a quarterback that I think is going to get them to the promised land. Talk about their losses. They lost Nick Foles. That failed miserably, that experience. They lost Marquise Lee, but most significantly, they lost Calais Campbell and Marcel Darius on the defensive line. They also lost A.J. Bouye, their corner, and they also lost their 4th overall pick a few years ago, Leonard Fournette. And just to remember people, just to remind folks, they also traded away Jalen Ramsey last year. So they have lost a ton of players. That roster that made the AFC Championship game in Foxborough is long gone. It's been long stripped down. But they do have 10 picks next year. And I do think somehow, some way, they are going to use those picks to get their franchise quarterback. I don't have anything negative to say about Gardner Minshew, but he ain't it, Chief. He just ain't it. He just ain't it. I ain't gonna go no much further than he just ain't it. So Jacksonville, I think they're going to be playing in a division that's got some teams that are going to be more competitive than some may think. And I don't think they're going to be very competitive. I don't think they're going to be very intriguing. I don't think they're going to be very watchable. And I got them like 3-13 maybe.
Okay, next team in this division, we're gonna go to the Let's Go Titans, Tennessee Titans. So with that being said, I'll take those guys. Listen, they add Davion Clowney here in the last second, which was beautiful. We add Vic Beasley, Jonathan Joseph, and they re-sign Ryan Tannehill, which are all very, very big pickups and re-signings and those type of things. You added some depth on the offensive line with Ty Sambrio and Dennis Kelly. You signed Steven Gostowski. So I think overall they'll be just fine. The key losses here is they lost Jack Conklin, the right tackle, and Jarrell Casey, along with Logan Ryan. I think those are 3 significant losses. But the Conklin pick, I felt that they could replace if they just played their cards right in the draft. They did that. They drafted Isaiah Wilson from Georgia, the right tackle, who's probably one of the better right tackles in this year's class. Let's see how he develops and he transforms. But also, by replacing Logan Ryan, they drafted Christian Fulton from LSU, who will be a little bit quicker, faster player, younger, of course. But I'm not saying he's going to replace Logan Ryan. Overall, the Titans are going to be a team that's going to be intriguing because of 2 reasons. Last year, Ryan Tannehill was 28 of 29 in the red zone. He wasn't turning the ball over. He was mightily efficient, and those are things that got them to the AFC Championship game last year. I think he takes a step. He comes back to reality. Shout out to De La Soul, back to life, back to reality, and let's go that way. That being said, I have them with a great defense and some timely plays on offense. They can still get to 8-8 and compete for a potential playoff spot, but 9-7 is the cap because the quarterback's coming back to the world. Mr. Junior, talk to the people.
So I got the Indianapolis Colts. First, I'm gonna start off with the draft. I talked about it with the 49ers. They traded their first round pick. The Colts traded their first round pick to the 49ers for defensive tackle DeForest Buckner. The 49ers changed that pick and came out with Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle out of South Carolina. Now, of course, the draft being, hindsight, they could have had him, but you never know what would happen. They decided to go with the safest player there. But in the second round, they came and got Michael Pittman, and receiver out of USC, and they got Jonathan Taylor, running back out of Wisconsin. So for losing their first round pick and getting they got a good defensive tackle out of it, but they came back and had two solid second-round picks that can start immediately for them. Pittman, ex-receiver, big physical kid. He did just strictly play the left side of the field for USC, so he doesn't have much versatility that you typically see with the brand new NFL that we've been seeing over the last decade, where a lot of receivers are playing some slot, a lot of receivers are playing some Z and playing on the right side of the field. But Michael Pittman, very solid receiver. This is one of Jerem's favorite receivers. Big physical kid, like I said. Jonathan Taylor, to us, was the best running back in this draft. Very close to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Well-rounded running back, more of that natural, old school style. Very good vision, but very fast as well. He does have some lateral quickness issues, but other than that, very natural running back. So that's two starters offensively for the Colts. In the third round, they got Julian Blackman, safety out of Utah. This is going to be an interesting player too. He's going to add some depth to that secondary, but mostly starting special teams. And then in the fourth round, they got Jacob Eason, quarterback out of Washington that came out of Georgia as well. That kid is an interesting prospect, one of those big, physical, strong quarterbacks in the mold of like a Roethlisberger, of like a Jonathan Allen in terms of arm strength. But again, a lot of technique issues, accuracy issues. But again, high upside player, see what they can get out of that. So free agency, again, they traded for DeForest Buckner to solidify that defensive line for them. Sheldon Reed also, defensive tackle, and Xavier Rhodes, cornerback. I don't expect him to see much playing time. He's not the same player he was 2 years ago, but he will add some depth to that secondary. But the biggest offseason signing for them was Phillip Rivers. Why? I think they saw somebody that was a veteran that's played so long in the league, can bring just that veteran feel to the locker room. Other than that, I don't see why Jacoby Brissett will lose his job to a Phillip Rivers. You guys know how I feel about Phillip. It's been a while since I thought he was a legit threat for a playoff spot, let alone a Super Bowl spot. And then their key losses, Eric Ebron, and Devin Funches, tight end and receiver, physical players. They did have hands issues. They can fill those holes, in my opinion. And they lost Marcus Hunt, defensive end. Mo talked a lot about him. I forgot what team he went to.
Saints, actually, but they cut him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. So is he going? Because there's new COVID practice squad rules. Is he going to be on the practice squad or?
I'm sure somebody's going to pick him up, man. I still expect him to start for somebody sometime this year. There's no way he doesn't play significant time for somebody.
Yeah, that's interesting, Dan. And so I mean, I think this offense upgraded. We know that they clearly a top 3 offensive line, if not, could be number 1 by the season's end. Receivers, a good stable of running backs. The Phillip Rivers guys, I don't know. I don't see that being much of a progression over Jacoby Brissett and what his slope, I feel, was trending upwards.
Agreed.
With that being said, Houston Texans. Houston, we have a problem.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, Jerm.
Let's start with the losses.
I got you. So they lost Carlos Hyde and Lamar Miller. They 2 running backs, and now got both DJs in Duke Johnson and David Johnson. We'll see how that goes. But Carlos Hyde, man, there was a stretch. He was a walking 20 carries, 150 yards a game for a stretch. And somehow, some way, they still didn't use him enough moving forward because Bill O'Brien doesn't know how to football. Anyways, they also lost DeAndre Hopkins. Again, Bill O'Brien, what the hell are you doing trading DeAndre Hopkins? They also lost DJ Reader, another big significant piece on that defense and that interior, the anchor for your run defense. I don't understand how you just let him walk. And they lost basically their entire secondary Jonathan Joseph, Jaleel Adai, Mike Adams, and Tashawn Gibson. Now, they got some starters there. They got some young guys there, and we'll see how that defense can play. But listen, they lost some important pieces, some important locker room pieces more than anything, especially in this offseason. I'm going to leave my overview till everybody gets to them. But
All right, so what we add here is we add Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb. I guess you're trying to add 2 receivers to replace 1. That's never good.
Nope.
With that being said, they re-signed Bradley Roby and Jalen Watkins. They also bring in Vernon Hargreaves from the We the People Tampa Bay Bucks.
Well, he's been there since last year.
Well, they agreed to term. He agreed to the terms to re-sign or whatever the case is.
Yes.
As well here. And pretty much those are the things that matter right now for this team. At the end of the day, it's not very much else that the Tennessee Titans, that the Texans have to worry about. I think they are who they are, especially when it comes down to these additions. But then I'm going to let Vic go with the draft additions, and then we'll go to the overview.
Again, like just to add to the depression that is the Texans right now, they lost their first round pick. I think it was in the trade for the left tackle to the Dolphins. Am I correct on that?
Laremy Tunsil, yep.
Laremy Tunsil. In the second round, probably their best pick, in my opinion, was Ross Blaylock.
Blacklock.
Yep, Blacklock that we scouted out of TCU. This is another interesting player. Has some really good upside. He can play a little bit of both 3 technique and nose tackle. Has some good pass rushing skills and stuff like that. Other than that, I don't see nothing big. They got Jonathan Greenard out of Florida, linebacker, going to add some depth to that linebacking core. Charlie Heck is an offensive tackle out of North Carolina. Just more depth. Nothing big out of that. Probably another good pick would probably be Isaiah Coulter, wide receiver out of Rhode Island. We saw a kid that has some speed, has some good route running. Other than that, I mean, this wasn't a draft exactly to be excited about for the Texans.
I mean, as far as the overview for them, I'll go first on this one, Germ, and then I just don't know what to expect from them. I mean, again, that secondary, the way they play is going to be crucial to how the success of overall of that football team. We know what Deshaun Watson's going to bring, but I just don't know if the weapons around him, combined with that offensive line, combined with Bill O'Brien's just incompetence, honestly, as what he's shown in the past few years, I just don't know what exactly to expect. I said it last year, and I'm going to say it again this year. I trust Deshaun Watson. I trust nothing around Deshaun Watson. And that's the same way I feel this year, which is why I gotta just go with what I'm seeing. I gotta go with what I'm looking at, and I think the Tennessee Titans are gonna win this division this year.
All I'm gonna say is this. I'm gonna be real honest. We got Stilly. As long as you got Steaming Willie beaming, and he put on that invisible juice, and he gone, you gonna win some games. That's Deshaun Watson. That's Willie Beam.
Fair. That's fair.
Invisible
That's fair.
juice. I'm a Robin, Mr. Invisible Juice at the end of the day. That's just me. I think the defense will make enough plays. I think David Johnson, in conjunction with all those receivers, will figure out some things. And that's all we need to do to win 10 games in this division. Because I think Phillip Rivers will probably have the Colts out of it by week 3. And that's just what I think. But with that being said, Vic, I'm going to let you give your overview. But I'm picking Mr. Invisible Juice.
You picking them for first?
For the division, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's it. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tennessee still. I think that's a team that's still improving, especially offensively. The Colts. I mean, I see a very, very talented team, but again, it's a quarterback-driven sport, so we're gonna see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, I'll go with the Titans to take over to win that division.
Okay. So with that being said, this has been video number 7. Check out the final video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, The Scene. With that being said, views from the 22, Germ So True, Mo Schefter, Big Junior, we out. Video 8. Check us out.